Hi, my name is Kwang. I'm a plastic surgery trainee, currently based in Stoke, but I'll be kind of being around Birmingham. And I've been coming to BCC for about 8 years now. Wow. Um, I've been asked to answer a couple of questions. So I'll just pick a few, and they're kind of combined in a way. Um, so, um, how did I come to know Jesus? So I grew up in a non-Christian home, so my parents were not Christian, but actually a lot of my relatives on my dad's side were Christian. So, like my aunt and cousins, they would kind of regularly invite us to attend kind of church events and kind of gatherings, etc. So I started going to like small kind of Bible classes, like during like school holidays, and sometimes the kind of children's kind of Sunday schools as well. So it was from there that I gradually started to learn about Jesus, God, and kind of develop my Christian faith from there. So there are a few things I remember as well from my childhood, which I thought were quite funny. So, but reaffirming in a way. For example, like I grew up like I was probably quite a timid child, and so I mean, grew up kind of watching like cartoons about those Chinese pagan gods, and one of the very popular stories, which I'm sure most Chinese people know about, is about the Monkey King, like Sun Wukong. And I just kind of remember this thought that I have, like that he regularly kind of defeated all these kind of gods and was supposed to be all so powerful. And that I had thought like, oh, like these kind of Chinese pagan gods are not very good. Like they can lose very often or get humiliated by this monkey king. I thought, yeah, these gods are not really great, and then I can't really rely on them. So I'll just rely on God. I know who is all powerful and can protect me all the time. So yep, gonna stick with God from there. The other thing that was kind of that God really helped me as I grew up as well was I had a bit of a obsessive compulsive disorder kind of when I was kind of growing up. So I had all this little kind of, they were almost like self-made superstitions. For example, I had to get my pencil box, like stuff in my pencil box in the correct order, like before I could leave the class. So I often like end up being the last person leaving the classroom. Like having to flip some switches in a certain kind of order, or kind of had to do some counting of some numbers in my head in like a perfect kind of order in order to kind of stop. And sometimes like normally I cope well, but sometimes this kind of habits will kind of really get to me and really frustrate me. But God really helped me in that sense, because He gave me something stronger to believe in. So the thing is, if I believe, like if I didn't kind of complete this kind of self-made kind of superstitions or tasks like in my head, then something bad would happen. But my belief in God gave me something stronger to believe in, that He was an anchor and protector in that sense. And my faith in God kind of overruled these self-made superstitions that I had, and therefore I was kind of able to kind of slowly trust in God more and kind of wean myself off of these kind of habits. Occasionally when I get stressed, I still kind of repeat them, but it's a lot better than before. So that's one huge way kind of God has really helped me while I was growing up. The other kind of spiritual models. So when I was kind of growing up, then I didn't really get involved in church too much. I occasionally joined like my youth group in my kind of local church. But I think where I really started to grow was when I went to university, and it's kind of an inspiring story in a way, not for myself but for my kind of life group leader. So So she was a lady who was a lecturer and relative new one. And she was just basically sent by my church at the time to go and start a life group in my medical school. So she wasn't even in the medical field, but she basically just kind of trusting God and started speaking to some students around, and then started forming a kind of life group there. Yep. So and me and my so I kind of started attending the life group and then the church as well, and then from there I kind of grew more as a Christian and also start serving in church, in the worship group, welcome group, etc. as well. So I think that's when I really kind of started getting regularly attending church and got baptized there as well by the Pastor Bong, no relation to Yang, but yes. And that continued even when I went over the medical school in Glasgow, because when most of my friends who went over to Glasgow together with me were from my life group, and also the pharmacy students as well. We started kind of having like a regular kind of welcome every year for the new pharmacy students, and then that's when we started kind of make friendships and then grow spiritually and serve in the church together. So that was a really good time in my spiritual life. Yep. So and the next one I want to share was share one piece of influential scripture in my spiritual life. So probably quite a lot of people sometimes quote this, but it's Psalm 23 verse 4. So even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So the reason I chose this verse was because so it's kind of during the end of my kind of PhD, but I remember I attended one of life. Actually, I don't think it was life group, but it was a meeting, and I think we had invited someone from Bread of Life, and they were giving talk and then stuff. But I think one of the exercises or the icebreaker things was like everyone had to kind of write something randomly on a piece of paper and pass it along, and then in the end gave it to one of the persons. And I just remember like the piece of paper that I got, like or not just one person but multiple people wrote something similar and wrote this verse. So it was kind of ominous in a way, but I felt at the time that God was preparing me for a difficult time ahead. And actually then later on, I did have several problems. So one of them was had hit a little bit of snag in my PhD because of some problems with my supervisor per se. Yeah, and also at the time was followed closely as well. Like my parents were both diagnosed with cancer. But even with all this multiple things kind of happening, I held on to that verse because I knew that God also it wasn't just warning about the tough times, but I felt that God was also wanting to kind of reassure me that He will be with me, as like in the verse, and He'll comfort me, and that really helped me through that period, and my faith grew so on, and grew to trust Him more and depend on Him more during that time. And I managed to finish my PhD successfully, and my mom, her cancer kind of went in remission. So, and my dad still has cancer, but he is still coping well with it. So, I really thank God for just kind of comforting me and also strengthening me and helping me through that difficult period. Yep. So, yep. So this is all I'd like to share at the moment. So thank you for the opportunity to share. Yep, thank you.